Why are Pakistan and Afghanistan now battling?
Yeah, what is that about?
It's a poxy thing, man. Honestly, they shouldn't be doing that, and I hope they can stop that stuff, man. Because Pakistan needs Afghanistan. In case that if India attacks it, they always called it like the strategic depth. Because the Afghanis, like, they would back it against India.
And they clearly will. Like, that's why Modi's meeting with Netanyahu right now. Their shared enemy is Pakistan.
Fatherland.
What is it?
Yeah, the fatherland.
Pakistan still doesn't recognize them, right?
Who?
That country?
I think so. But you know, all these governments, I mean, they don't represent the public sentiment.
Of course.
But to be honest, though, this is going to sound controversial, bro, but I think our Muslim people are not where they need to be, bro.
Yeah. That's controversial.
No.
That's pretty well.
No, in terms of if they could, I would say in many Muslim countries, if they could vote to fight in Palestine, a lot of them would actually vote not to. If it was anonymous vote, they would vote not to do it.
Really?
I think so, but I think a lot of it, like Yemen, no. Yeah, like a country like Yemen, I think they would all go for it.
Yeah.
To be honest, there are some countries like that would all go for it. What about Iran?
Yeah.
Iran.
It's inevitable. The U.S. is going to go to war with Iran for it.
They're going to go for it, isn't it?
It's probably very soon. I think within like several weeks. It's probably the release of the Epstein files. That's why Netanyahu's visiting right
7 people to give £100.
They're putting the final pressure to get this war going. Israel's been dying to go to war with Iran for the past several decades.
What do you think? What do you think would happen?
Have you seen? Do you know Professor Jang? His synopsis is that because of hubris, Trump is an actor. He wants TV appearances, and he'll lose for the same reason Zelensky lost against Russia. Yeah. He will deploy 100,000 troops, and Iran is surrounded by mountains. It's a mountainous region.
Yeah.
So you have to bring in troops through helicopters, right? And Iran has good missile technology to destroy planes.
Yeah.
And so just for appearances, Trump will deploy troops, and Iran will actually win against the U.S., which is good for Israel. Either way, if Iran doesn't care, Israel still becomes global superpower.
Unless Iran starts attacking Israel, which might be one of the only things.
Israel's nuclear capabilities are stronger than Iran's.
Yeah.
The one downside is that if Trump goes nuclear or he bombs too much, Putin has made it clear that he will strike America.
Really?
That he will use. If we use nuclear weapons, Putin.
But why would Russia do that? Is it because it's a threat coming to them?
It's because Russia is allied with Iran, and also Putin doesn't want America to overextend their.
But the truth is, I think that the honest truth, China and Russia will not fight for Iran. Never. Well, I don't even think Russia and China will fight for each other.
It's not really fighting for Iran; it's fighting against the U.S.
They're defending themselves, bro. It's not about Iran.
I think China's look. If you look at China for the last 50 years, bro, it's all self-defense, self-containment. They're not adventurous like that. Now look at Taiwan as an example. Yeah, they could easily take that. They could easily take that over. There's a reason why they're not really doing that, because if you know, they don't want to take it too far with America. I think that they're being very, and that, like, even going back to the Qing dynasty and then, you know, the Ming and all these dynasties, yeah, they're not really expansionist. The Chinese are not really expansionist like that. Let alone would fight for some other. When was the last time China ever fought for another country?
No, they're fighting for themselves, bro. They're saying America's coming to our door.
It's not fighting for Iran. It's fighting to maintain their own.
Yeah.
I doubt they'll do that, bro. No way.
Of course, man. If America's going to come to Iran, who's going to be next? Of course they're gonna
China.
Bro, you never know. That's what
what is possible though. What is conceivable is that they would give material and economic support to Iran.
Yeah, proxy.
Like what they did with Pakistan against India. That's a very high possibility. So they're gonna give them whatever it is they need, planes and stuff. But I don't think China gonna and Russia is kind of drained from they're fatigued from the fighting with Ukraine, bro. So I don't think they even have the capabilities for it at the moment. The truth is this, Iran is actually its weakest kind of. They're isolated right now because the Arab states around it. They don't necessarily like them. Yeah, obviously they see them as geopolitical contenders or enemies, whatever it may be, competitors. So they don't really want to. They're not going to get any backing, with the exception of Yemen. But once again, Yemen and Hamas are not. They don't have any. They have nothing. They have no capabilities.
Yeah.
They can. You can hit a few.
Hamas propaganda. What are you talking about? They control the media.
They got nothing. So here's the issue, though. Having said all of that, here's what I think. America, when it went into Iraq, it was a demolition job, and they got regime change. They got what they wanted. Yeah. The topography and the terrain of Iraq is completely different to the topography and the terrain of Iran. It's not as mountainous at all. It's actually a desert climate. It's easy to take over that country. Iran is more like Afghanistan. So if America wants to do a regime change in Iran, it's going to... I mean, last time I went to Afghanistan, it took them, 2-3 trillion. That's how much it cost them.
They lost.
And 20 years war, and then they were left. And they left their infrastructure, the hardware... and
To a
they
bunch of supposed like sub 90 IQ brownoids, as they call.
Here's the thing, that these guys are really good at guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
The Taliban are an exceptional force when it comes to...
Like the Viet Cong.
They're probably better than them. Because look at what they achieved. They're very good. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard in Iran might not be as good as the Pashtuns in guerrilla warfare, but they're so entrenched everywhere else, and they have ballistic drones, ballistic missiles, drones. They have other things as well. They have an air force which is quite weak, to be fair. It's not a good air force, and it was exposed actually by Israel. To be fair, they have and the thing is, there's not that much will in Iran. Yeah, it's not as so. The anti-American sentiment.
That's pretty argued.
No, trust me. Look, in Iran, the anti-American sentiment is not as much as it was in
It's
Afghanistan.
not really anti-American. It's just anti-Israel. The fact they just see
they're
Israel and
anti-Israel.
America as the same.
They're very anti-Israel, but the anti-American sentiment, like if you compare the anti-American sentiment in Afghanistan versus Iran, it's night and day difference. There was more will for them to continue a prolonged fight and a fight back against insurgency from the Pashtu side than there would be from the Iranian side. But because a big chunk of their population has become completely disillusioned with the ruling elite, the Khamenei and all of that, they don't like them. Iran is a divided nation. 50% of the nation hate at least more than that, maybe more than that. They hate those guys. They feel like they're suppressing them, etc. Now the question is, who do they hate more? Do they hate America more or those guys more?
Definitely America.
Yeah, they hate America more, but there's a good number of them who would, and we saw it with the Israel things, that would actually be treacherous to the...
I think that's overstated. Mike Pompeo, the former CIA director under Trump's first term, he said and admitted that the protests in Iran were infiltrated by CIA and Mossad.
Yeah.
So those firebombs in the mosque that we saw in Iran, those protests to make it seem like they really hated the Iranian government, that was manipulated by CIA to brainwash Americans to think, oh, look, we care about the Iranian people, freedom for Iran, the government's evil. This is manipulation.
I agree. So look, the thing is, in general, like an insurgency is a very difficult thing to continue. Like, an insurgency... For America, it hasn't been good for them. In Vietnam, they have a losing record with insurgencies.
And it's embarrassing. Right? This is embarrassing to China, to Russia, to other global empires. This is, like, we were supposed to be number one.
Yeah, but insurgencies are so hard. I mean, because the thing is, if you want a regime change, you have to have boots on the ground. And there's no appetite for that in American... You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the population
not the same belief. I think that the will in Iran is there's much more belief than we have. The hatred of our own government and our people is much stronger than it is.
The Evolutionary Guard are fighting for their existence. They would be that particular entity would fight to the end.
Regime change wouldn't work in Iran. It would be another disaster like we saw all over the Middle East for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight for our freedom, goddammit.